Most of what creates disorganized attachment in kids does not come from parents who don't love their kids. It comes from parents who do love their kids, but are carrying around unresolved issues. And these can show up in small, ordinary moments and in ways that we don't always see. Sometimes we're warm, and sometimes we're scary. Sometimes we're present, and sometimes we're checked out. A child does not need a dangerous parent to develop a disorganized nervous system. They just need a parent who can be unpredictable, because what a child's nervous system tries to do is organize around consistency. Even consistent coldness will give the child something to adapt to. What it really struggles with is organizing around the combination of love and fear coming from the same person with no way to tell which one is coming next. This is what disorganized attachment is. It's not a diagnosis, but it's a description of what happens inside a child when reaching for safety doesn't always reliably lead anywhere safe. I've been working with families for over 30 years, and I'm going to walk you through the 5 patterns that create disorganized attachment most often and what you can start doing differently. Before we get into this, you need to understand one thing about how your child is wired, because once you see this, everything else will make sense. Every child comes into the world with one core biological drive. When something frightens them, they will reach for their caregiver. This is not a learned behavior. It is built into every human nervous system from birth. When a child is hurt or scared or overwhelmed, their whole system fires one signal: go towards safety. But what happens when that caregiver is both the source of safety and the source of fear? When that frightened child reaches out, but then reaching becomes frightening as well, they will retreat. And retreating means moving away from the only available source of comfort, which is also frightening. Forward is frightening, and backwards is frightening, and there is no direction that leads anywhere safe. We actually call this fright without a solution, which is a psychological term describing the impossible situation an infant faces when their caregiver is both the source of comfort and the source of fear. That child's nervous system will fully activate, and then it will freeze because no strategy seems to be working. Disorganized attachment does not require some kind of dramatic harm. You don't have to be cruel or absent or neglectful. It just builds across hundreds of ordinary moments where the child feels warmth sometimes, and then sometimes they get something else. Like I mentioned earlier, a child who consistently receives coldness will eventually adapt. They'll just stop reaching for that parent. That can be painful, but it's organized. There's a strategy to it. But a child who sometimes gets warmth and sometimes gets fear or withdrawal, they can't form any strategy at all because warmth keeps reappearing. It keeps offering hope. It keeps pulling them back. So that kid then lives in a state of constant, unresolvable tension. And that tension is what we call disorganized attachment. So the first habit, number 1, is the unpredictable response. And it's the most common one that we see. Let's say a parent is stressed, flooded, or just carrying something around from their own history. And then on any given day or moment, they snap at their kid over something small. Usually you will feel terrible. So you might even overcorrect with extra warmth and extra closeness. And then that cycle repeats. What your child's nervous system is registering isn't love, but rather, I cannot predict you. And a nervous system that can't predict can't feel safe. So to correct this, we always have to start with ourselves, and it's correctable. When you notice yourself cycling between warmth and irritation with no obvious trigger, that inconsistency is almost always a signal that something unresolved in you is running the show. Your child's distress or behavior is activating something old in your own nervous system, something that your body has been carrying around for a long time. You might not even know it. So the repair will start right there, with honest attention to what is happening inside you in the moments when you become someone scary or unpredictable. And the repair after a hard moment doesn't need to be something huge. You could even just acknowledge, hey, I was really irritable earlier, and I took it out on you, and that wasn't fair, and I'm sorry. That one sentence tells their nervous system something it really needs to hear, which is, The unpredictability has a limit. As the parent, you can come back from this. Coming back like this is what slowly makes you predictable in a way that matters most. Okay, habit number 2, the second habit, is the one most directly responsible for disorganized attachment. And it's the hardest one for us to be honest about because it's so painful and we tend to feel so much shame about it. When your child feels threat, their nervous system does one thing, and that will be to scan your face to see if you are safe. If that face looks safe, the alarm will quiet down. If that face says threat, the alarm will escalate. Interestingly, that alarm will escalate for other reasons, including if you look detached, or if you look blank, or if you look dissociative in the middle of a hard moment, or if a parent becomes visibly destabilized by their child's distress. To your child's nervous system, a caregiver who disappears behind a flat, unreachable face registers the same way a predator does. Researchers actually call this the silent alarm. And although nothing overtly threatening happens, the child will look up, and that person that they need is gone, replaced by something unreadable. And unreadable to a young nervous system means dangerous. This almost never happens because a parent is dangerous. It happens because a parent is flooded and doesn't even know it. And a flooded nervous system will broadcast things that you don't even mean to say. So the work for you is learning to recognize when you're flooded so that you can step away or do what you need to do before this becomes a consistent part of your child's experience. You don't even have to do this perfectly, but if you can do it consistently enough, your child will build a different expectation, which is my parent gets dysregulated sometimes, but they come back. And that's okay. Even learning to acknowledge this is so hard, but it can be so powerful. If you shut down, get flooded, blow up, or escalated in some way that frightens them, you can just come back and name it. You can say, hey, I got really upset and that really wasn't about you. Making repair, which we all need to learn to do, can be so healing and create such intimacy in your relationships. It creates such safety. Okay, the third habit is called role reversal. And it almost always comes from genuine pain. If you're carrying around unresolved grief, loneliness, depression, it can become a problem without even you meaning it to become a problem, because you will look to your child for emotional regulation. A lot of people don't do that in any dramatic way, but let's say you're having a hard day and then your child moves towards you to comfort you. That can be okay occasionally, but if it becomes a pattern, then your child might learn that they are the caretaker in the relationship, and they'll become hypervigilant to your moods. They may stop asking that question of, am I safe? And start asking a different one, which is, how are you? Or what do you need from me? Our adult pain belongs in a therapist's office, or maybe in a friendship that can really hold the weight of that, but not in our child's small hands. The fourth habit happens when we respond to our child's distress with our own distress. So our child might be falling apart, and instead of staying regulated and present, we escalate it or shut down or get flooded with anxiety. So our child came in with a feeling, and now they have two problems: the original feeling that they had and the alarm of watching us become unsafe as a response to that feeling. When this happens, our child will over time draw the conclusion that they were never supposed to draw in the first place, which is my emotions are dangerous and threatening to the person that I need the most. So they'll learn to hide their emotions. They'll learn to hide whatever they feel. And they'll learn to look fine when they're anybody but fine. We all know people who do this. That can work for a while, and then it stops working because emotions that go underground do not really disappear. They just accumulate, erupt later, or become problems later in response to even things that look minor. So when our kids bring something emotionally intense, our job is to stay calm, keep our body relaxed. Remember, you don't have to fix anything or find the right words. Instead, just be empathetic, because empathy is the real connector. Empathy is the real healer. It's kind of like you'll be telling them, hey, you're angry right now, and I'm right here with you. Doing that slowly rewires the association for them between vulnerability and danger. I've had times myself where I didn't do too well with this. One thing that really helps is recognizing it and coming back later and just owning it. It's perfectly fine to acknowledge that, hey, I got really upset when you were upset and I didn't handle it well. And I'm going to try that again with you. Our last habit, the fifth habit, is the one that is underneath all the others. And I want to talk about this carefully because this is where most of us feel so much shame. The research on this has been consistent across decades. The single biggest predictor of disorganized attachment in a child is a parent who is carrying unresolved trauma or grief and hasn't yet been able to build an honest, coherent narrative around it. I'm not talking about a parent who had a hard childhood or was hurt or neglected or abandoned. I'm talking about a parent who went through those things and hasn't been able to make sense of them or even look at them clearly without being pulled back under. Here's why this matters so much. When your child expresses fear, intense anger, or just a raw need of some kind, and it causes you to reach back through your own history, it will activate something that has been unresolved. And because it has been unresolved in you, it's still fragmented and very much emotionally alive within you. It will leak out. It will come out in subtle signs in your face, your voice, and your body, and you won't even realize that your child's nervous system just registered this as a threat. This is actually how pain and trauma travels between generations. It's never through intention, and it's usually not through big dramatic events, mostly through unconscious leakage in the ordinary moments of an ordinary day. I want you to know that this is not your fault. I also want you to know that you can stop it from passing forward. And the mechanism for doing that is building a coherent narrative of your own life. That means learning how to sit with your own story long enough to make sense of it, to see it clearly without being overwhelmed by it. It almost always has to happen in therapy or in a really great, powerful friendship, particularly with someone who can hold your history for you. What matters is that the story gets told and understood, because when you can look at your own past with clarity and compassion, that is when this stops being passed from one generation to the next. The beauty of all this is that disorganized attachment is not a life sentence, and there is a way to repair and have hope going forward. That's because our nervous system will update based on new evidence, and every moment of genuine safety you create will do that. Your child's brain is continuously revising its prediction about what happens when they reach out. You get to choose how to influence what happens for them. There's also one thing above everything else that works across all 5 of these habits, and it's really simple. And it's just pausing. So when you feel yourself starting to get flooded, or when your child's emotional state begins pulling you somewhere uncomfortable, just stop before you respond. Take a breath or a few breaths really slowly. Even a few seconds will change what travels from your nervous system into theirs. You have so much power because that pause interrupts a transmission that may have been passing from parent to child for generations. You get to break that cycle. What you're now building moment by moment is a different expectation inside your child's nervous system. It's not my parent is perfect. It's actually something way better than that. And that is, when I reach out, something safe happens. When I fall apart, I don't lose you. I don't have to choose between needing you and feeling safe. The most beautiful part of this is that their nervous system is waiting to learn. And when you show up with honesty and with repair and the willingness to keep showing up after difficult moments, you get to be the one that teaches them this. If you want to go deeper on becoming a safe parent who can provide secure attachment and deep intimacy with your children, I have a course called Connection and Credibility at drtoddtalks.com. It will walk you through exactly how to build the kind of relationship with your child that holds up over a lifetime, through the hard times, through the mistakes, through all of it. I also have free videos, articles, podcast episodes, and my YouTube channel, which you can find on my website. All right, I'll see you next time.